and welcome to another episode of Passion to Profession. In today's world, you may be a homemaker or working in an MNC, but everybody needs to know about their finances. So today, let's invite Mrs. Kavita Dhamani, who is a money coach. Let's learn from her how to manage our own finances. Hello, Kavita. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi, everyone. So great to be here with you all. And thank you, Manveen, for having me. I am the money coach, and my life purpose is to transform millions of lives by empowering people to be financially liberated and free of all money issues. I help people on their journey to financial fitness and financial freedom so that they can they can take charge of their lives, their financial lives, and raise the bar for the quality of life they choose to live. I really believe that becoming financially fit has a positive ripple effect on multiple areas of your life, such as, mental health, physical health, emotional health, your relationships, your career, your business, your wealth and lifestyle. It gives people the freedom to live with purpose. This in turn significantly raises the quality of life for one, as well as for the life life that loved ones will live as they desire. So, being financially stable and financially fit, financially free is of topmost priority for everybody, and that's what I empower people with. That's really my life mission.
That is so wonderful. That is so wonderful. Okay, so tell me, Kavita, generally we talk about our finances. It's generally with the females who are working and, who are managing because they earn. So they are being asked to manage, okay? And not for the homemakers, because homemakers are generally dependent on their spouse or some or the other income that they get. So is what you teach, is it worthy for them also?
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Manveen. That's such a brilliant question because, actually there is a lot of talk about financial independence. And when we talk about financial independence, what it essentially means is that, one earns their own income. Okay. And there is a lot of emphasis nowadays, particularly increasingly about women working and becoming financially independent. But you know what? I really believe in, empowerment. I mean, definitely financial independent is great. Being financially independent and not dependent on somebody is great, but it's a choice, right? We should not forget that it's a choice, and being empowered means that one has the choice to work or not to work. Whether it is a woman or a man, even for that matter, I would say. Unfortunately, in our society, men generally do not get that option to kind of say, I choose not to work. Yes. But then at the same time, just to say that every woman should be working and should be financially independent is not fair. I don't, because that, if just imagine if that was to happen, it would be such a, it would not be a balanced society, right? Yes. So first of all, it's really for women and men for that matter. I strongly believe that. And there are, increasingly now, gradually we are starting to see some of those things happen, some roles changing, people, at least the younger people, younger couples, understanding these things. But yes, so basically, first of all, it's important for the homemakers to understand that if, being empowered means if I choose to be a homemaker, it's absolutely fine. You don't have to feel like I'm lesser than anybody else who's working just because I'm a homemaker, because being a homemaker is such a great deal of responsibility that one takes, we all know, and it's really, really important. You're really doing such a great job. So if you choose to do that, it's great. The only thing that one should not or what I would, where a person is in a situation when they're forced to, when they wish to do something else, but for some reason they're restricted because of the society or because of opinion of people around them, then yes, that's something that we need to kind of stand up against to begin with. That, I know that does not answer your question directly, but I really wanted to clarify that, because a lot of times homemakers tend to feel like, I am lesser than the working person because I'm not earning or I'm not contributing. But having said that, when it comes to managing money or finances, it's equally important for a homemaker as well. Because at the end of the day, to be financially fit or stable, to have a financially secure life is everybody's right. Everybody deserves that, right? And just because you are a homemaker doesn't mean, or even otherwise, anybody for that matter, Manveen, it's really funny how even people who are working, they just, a lot of people, not just women, but even men, tend not to manage their money at all. They tend to leave that for somebody else to do until and unless it comes on their head कि अब करना ही पड़ेगा तो करना है. Out of choice, most people don't do it.
But then, I would say now also in our society, females, especially the homemakers, they don't want to take the charge of it. They don't want to learn going to the banks, filling up their checks, knowing about their accounts. They don't know. I would say if we do a survey for the homemakers, maybe 70 or 60% of them wouldn't even know their account category. Is it a saving account or a current account? Okay. So this is a very basic thing which is being required, but this basic education also we are not ready to receive or to even ask, because we don't bother. We are we are so dependent on others and we take it for granted. Okay, fine, my finances are being managed, I get what I get, so I don't bother. It doesn't matter to me. मुझे जितना चाहिए मुझे उतना पैसे मिल जाते हैं, उसके beyond why should I even think about it? Isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so but we need to change this thinking.
Absolutely. And again, just to kind of break that myth of this is only the state of homemakers. No, actually, people who are working also, a lot of them, and not just women, definitely the percentage of women not being aware of these things is much higher than men. But men are not far behind, trust me on that, with the statistics. So this is something, and again, for men it becomes more like they don't have an option. So at some point they will have to step into those shoes and take up the responsibility. At some point they will have to, they don't have an option of not going to the bank or not filling the, so just because they don't have a choice, at some point they'll end up doing it. But you will see in most cases where they have a choice, where let's say it's a joint family setup where it's either a parent or a sibling who is, one of the siblings who takes up the responsibility, the others shy away from it. That happens with men as well. So and maybe the working women might be a little more informed, like in the example that you gave, that they might just know their account category, but a lot more than that they may still not know. And that's the reality. And so this thing needs to change entirely for everybody. And the thought, I mean, definitely it has to come from people taking the initiative. And trust me that it's not just because they need to do it. They need to understand that for them to be equally be an equal partner in your financial decisions, money decisions in your family, even if you're a homemaker. It's so important for you to be an equal partner. Like, we just so easily assume that somebody else will manage our money for us. It can be anybody, whether it's a parent or a sibling or a partner, spouse, or somebody, in some cases a close friend even. But then why that? Why not take that responsibility, just learn a little bit about it, and then start taking equal part in those money decisions. Start having those conversations on your dinner table.
Yes,
Why?
because I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but
No, no, that's absolutely fine.
many a times I get my clients as, saying me like they are in their late 50s or in their late 60s, and they telling up to me that, I never knew what was my husband's income. I don't know the exact figure. And this is what the scenario is. I feel that males, they think that females are not smart enough, or maybe what will they do, उनको पता कर करना भी क्या है.
भी क्या
Whereas
है?
either, they always forget that your house is being managed and run by a female only.
Exactly.
Whatever,
And the females also
whatever,
forget that, isn't it?
yes, whatever big or small amount you are giving to your wife, she will do the adjustments in that only. If you say that I don't have
Absolutely.
more to give you, she'll be like, fine. She is okay in that much of amount. So the management part of a female, managing with the finances is always better, but she's never given that opportunity to do it. That's what is
Absolutely.
what my
Absolutely.
feeling. Yes.
You're spot on, Manbeen. In fact, researches in India, so many of them have been conducted and world over, and they have shown that women are actually much better decision makers, much better managers, much better investors than men. If when given, because they one, they will make the intellectual decisions, obviously once given the relevant information.
Yes.
Okay, even men without the relevant information cannot take those decisions.
Yes.
And secondly, what we women have, something very special about us, is the emotional quotient that we have,
Hmm.
empathy that we have, which is
That
inbuilt,
we
so
have.
ingrained within us, that when we take those decisions, we won't just think about the financial aspect, we will think about the financial
Whatever.
aspect as well as
Yes.
the other impact that will have those decisions will have on the wider family. I'm
Yes.
not saying the men don't think about it, but it's researches, scientifically it has been proved that women, because of that empathy and the emotional quotient that we carry,
Hmm.
tend to be so much better in so many of these scenarios in terms of making these decisions.
Right.
And the sad part is that women tend to forget, like, it's not just men
Yes.
who think that women are not good at it, women doubt themselves.
More.
Women tend
I
to
would
think, yeah,
Here I would like to add more, because they are not confident about themselves only, that we can also do it. We always
exactly.
feel ourselves that we are inferior. How would we learn? There is always, that itch is always there in females to do it also.
And
Nevertheless,
and also a lot of it is like, I don't think we can really blame females or us for that, because it is so ingrained in us, like our upbringing, to be submissive, to be always giving, to be, to let the other person empower, like, take the upper hand in a decision or a relationship, that it's not going to happen overnight. But at the same time, what we need to really recognize or understand is that when we are trying to do this, it's not just for ourselves.
Mhm.
Women, when we talk, having the discussion, and why women should do it is, of course, for themselves. That's obviously the case, but not just for themselves, but also for a much bigger, a much larger purpose, that is to contribute back to the world. Because you know what,
Yes.
as they start getting involved in these money decisions, they start getting transformed, and they start creating, they will be able to contribute in creating a more secure, financially secure, and a more financially abundant life for
Mhm.
themselves as well as their loved ones.
Mhm.
And it's women who are raising these children, so once you have that knowledge, you are going to raise children who are financially empowered. You are
Empowered.
going to
Right.
raise daughters and sons who are going to look at you as
Yes.
a role model.
Very.
And also, equally importantly, when your sons see you in that role, they
Mm.
will be more accepting of their wife
Pipes.
to play that role. Because today what is happening is, women, everyone's talking about women empowerment, and empowering the women, and women being financially independent, but nobody is preparing the men for these empowered women, right?
Women. Yes.
And that
That's
is
very true. Yes,
it's
because
it
you
cannot
need
happen.
to.
It has to go hand in hand.
Yes, yes. There's a lot that, still needs to be changed in the society. But yes, I always say it that everything big starts from everything small. So maybe,
Exactly.
in the coming years, the coming generations will learn more, from the people, from the females who are going to be empowered and who are going to teach good to their children. Females like you, females like me, there are many other females.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. And it's, if I'm not wrong, it was Pandit Nehru who once said, to awaken the people, you have to awaken the women.
Yes,
And once the women are on the move, the family will move, the society will move, the
very
nation will
true.
move. And
Very
I'd say the world will move. So,
yes,
this is
that's true. Nowadays, rather not just going to the bank and filling up your check is important. Learning everything. We are going everywhere. We are becoming very digital. So the
exactly,
banking and everything has become very digital also. I think
absolutely.
I think in today's time, even for our elders, teaching them the senior citizens, teaching them the net banking and things like that is also an agenda, because they were so comfortable with the paper and the pen, and filling it up and going ahead. For them also, transferring the money online and all that, some elders, they need to be taught and they
They
need
need,
to
and
learn also.
it's, and don't, wouldn't you agree, Manbeen, the women can play that role? I mean, I truly believe, when you teach a man, you teach a man. When you teach a woman, you teach the entire family, the
Yes,
society. Like, she
yes,
will go and teach the children, she will go and teach the elders, she will go and teach her, share with her husband. She will not stop nagging unless they start doing those things, right? I mean, that's how we are. I
that's
mean,
how we.
it might sound annoying, but that's how we are.
No, no,
Isn't
it's
it?
nothing about being annoying. It's just about being us. This is what we are.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
to some people, I mean, and of course, even to our children, we might sometimes, uh, feel like we are annoying, but
It's for
when,
their
at some
betterment.
point they realize the
Yeah,
value of that,
for
right?
their
In
betterment.
the moment, it may feel like that, but that's exactly the point, that, that's why women need to start, it doesn't, financial independence or empowerment, I never believe that it's like, you independently stand on your own and fight with the whole family and stand. No, that's,
Yes.
it has to be a balanced,
Yeah.
it has to be a balanced society, and that's
Very
how we move
important.
forward.
Yes, it is very important to have that balance also. You alone won't be able to lead it until and unless you have that unity with you, and everybody
Absolutely.
needs
And
to be
this
there.
is the reason why I when I work not just with women but also with men, because I feel it's equally important for men to understand this aspect. Because if you just keep, if you just prepare the women and you don't prepare the men for it,
Mm.
it's again going to be an imbalance, because the men, it's a mentality shift, right? That has to happen.
True, true. And
Like that.
probably, now, sorry again, I'm cutting you, but probably again, nowadays, what is happening is like these young children, and I would say the younger generation is like they're earning very quickly. And on the contrary, they're losing also very quickly. Because here, this management part is, missing somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so here they need to
So
be. This has been. This needs to be taught that when you earn, it's not just that you earn. You need to have that management also. That what you have earned, make it as a wealth, not make it as your richness. So the
yeah,
difference
yeah, because
between
the
wealth and
riches
the
will not
actually,
stay.
yeah, and the difference between the wealth and riches is also not clear to many of the people around us.
Which is
Nowadays,
why,
you are being rich. Okay, done. Nobody talks about wealth. Are you being wealthy or not? They only talk about how rich are you. They what do you call, how do I explain it? I think you've got my question. What I'm trying to
so
say.
it's not even rich, it's about how pompous your life is, if I if I
Yes,
can say so.
yes,
How much,
yes,
what your Insta profile looks like, what
yes.
kind of holidays you're taking, what kind of a phone do you have, is what people care about, irrespective of how you funded that. You might have taken a loan to buy that
Yes,
phone,
true.
or you might be starving and not eating, like skipping meals. And like kids, like the younger people, they really land up into those kind of situations because of peer pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
They're earning well, but they spend so much more than what they are earning that they land up sometimes in a debt trap, and it is difficult. Like, things like, I need to just change my wardrobe like every 3 months. These are things which I think you and me and people our generation probably would not have thought of, but it's very common with the younger people.
Because
and they wouldn't care about what they're spending on it.
yes, because here again, the difference between an asset and a liability is not being clear to them. They think
Absolutely.
they have bought an asset which turns into their liability. So the difference is the learning of the difference is definitely missing. And when the learning of the difference is
Absolutely.
missing, of course, you go down. I mean,
You absolutely go downhill, and that's why we need to start having dinner table conversations. And if I can, if you don't mind me saying that, I must say, Manveen, I'm feeling great talking to you, because you're also my student, and I'm seeing how you are using all the concepts that we've I don't have to say anything. You're saying it all for me. And this is the reason, this is exactly the reason why, my whole motive is that this has to go to every house. And when a woman, learns it, she will spread the word. She will, teach everybody else. It's just amazing how you are talking about, like, I'm feeling like you are the financial, money coach, and not me, because I haven't spoken about any of
this
these
is
concepts at the moment.
actually this
And
is
you're
your
bringing all of those up.
that I am speaking out, and because I had learned it, and I now my ideology is like what I know, I would like to spread it around to everybody. So when I learned it from you, and I was like, it was like an aha moment for me that, oh my God, yes, exactly. You don't think about things when you are buying them. You think them like as an asset, but what I mean, after doing the course, now I calculate it. Is it going to be my asset, or is it going to turn into my liability? So earlier, I wouldn't just do it. I would just pick up whatever I want and never even think about it. And this way is, I would say that I was wasting a lot of my money. But now I'm saving it. So you taught me how to save it. So I really thought that, why not spread the word around? And everybody should
Absolutely.
learn to save it for their betterment, as
And
it was for me.
and as you know, it was so simple, isn't it?
Yes,
So
it's
which is
very
why it is, when it is so simple, it can become your dinner table conversation. When it becomes the dinner table conversation, your children will grow up listening to this every day, talking about it.
yes,
Then that those children will not be in the state that the current people are, unfortunately.
true. And actually, I can see that difference around me with my children, because whatever I learn, I generally talk to them, or I try and teach them. So my 20-year-old son, like, I see that difference in him. He knows now a little bit. He's learning. He's still on that learning step. But what I now feel is like, when he's gonna be, settled in his business or something, he would know how to manage his finances. It wouldn't be like, he's not going to be lost, because I'll be teaching him, and he's ready to accept it also. Even my daughter, like, the change is gradually coming around me. So I mean, I would definitely want that this change should be around everybody in every family, so everybody is wealthy, not just, pompously rich. Everybody should be wealthy around me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's exactly the point. That's exactly, at the end of the day, if you're able to achieve this, the world will be such a better place. And I'm sure we will achieve it. It's
Yes.
going to be tiny steps, one
Yes.
step at a time, but we'll get there.
Yes. Okay. So now one more thing, Kavita, I want to ask you about is, which is like, which is never talked about in our country, but I think, as we had a word last time, so it's been talked about it in abroad, something called as financial abuse, which I'm sure many people around here wouldn't be even knowing about. So let's put a little bit of highlight on that also. So could you please just
Yes.
let us
So, yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Manveen. That's such an important topic. And as you rightly said, majority of people probably will not even be aware of it, as even I wasn't a few years back.
Mhm.
And that's because it's something which is taken for granted. And financial abuse basically means that somebody controls like another person controls one's ability to acquire money or to use money or to manage money. So the ability of a person to earn money or to use the money or to manage the money is controlled by another person. Now, when we talk about this, and obviously controlled by another person, when we call it abuse, then when it is controlled by another person, obviously, which means in an abusive manner, which means that in some ways or the person whose abilities are being controlled is impacted negatively. It can start very in a very subtle way, and something as simple as it may start like people, that person, it can be anybody, it can be your partner, it can be a family member, whoever is taking the decisions on your behalf may make you feel as though you don't need to know any details about your money or about the money or the household resources. Now, it is worrisome because this is the normal, standard, acceptable scenario in most Indian households. Now, when we say this, it does not mean that every Indian household has financial abuse. But then what is happening is that when that kind of a relationship exists where one person is controlling and the other person has no clue whatsoever, then the person who does not have any clue is susceptible that if the other person wants to or intends to or has malified intentions, can take decisions or make decisions which are not in your best interest. And this is the very slightest thing that it may start with, that okay, you don't need to know, why do you need to know anything about it, why do you need to be a part of those decisions? And again, I'll say, not in all cases people have bad intentions. In a lot of our cases that we see in India, people do have the good intentions. But then another thing to think about is that let's say if I'll give a very basic example. You spoke about your daughter, right? Let's say if she grew up in an environment, or any of our daughters, when they grew up in an environment where they are totally protected, the norm is we don't talk about money. The norm is our children don't know how the money is managed. Okay, so when that girl grows up and then she gets mad and goes into another house, she's clueless about how to take any decisions, and she hands over that role that her father or maybe her brother was playing. The husband starts playing that role. Now, not to say that the father or brother or husband are going to take the wrong decisions for her, but let's say if somebody does land up taking the wrong decisions for her, she will never know. And in the worst kind of scenarios, financial abuse land up in situations where people are in bad relationships. It could be marriages, it could be other relationships, even sometimes relationship with a sibling or a parent, where they are financially dependent because they are not earning their own money, and they there is other person who's controlling their decisions, or even sometimes economic resources they can have access to. So they are not in a position to leave that relationship and start a dignified life just because they are so financially dependent on that person. That can be, and a lot of people, this is a fact which goes quite people don't talk about it a lot, but there are a lot of relationships where people are continuing with that relationship only because they are financially dependent. They don't know how will they survive without, if they were not in that relationship. But then the relationship may turn abusive in many other ways, but they still stick on to it
I would
because
say
of that.
here, I would say it's not just generally with the females only nowadays, it's also with men, because the demands of the females go so high that to fulfill that, it's not intentionally but unintentionally. This also happens in few cases,
Yes.
because
Yes.
sometimes your needs are so much that the other person is not able to fulfill that. Then it turns into that kind of a relationship again. So it's not always that female is being dominated in this. Many a times male are also being dominated in this. So it's the both ways nowadays. It's both ways.
Brilliant. That's a brilliant perspective, Manveen, I must say. Yes, I personally know someone who was in a relationship like that, a male who was in a relationship like that and had a few years of hell trying to get out of that relationship. And so yes, that's a reality as well.
Yeah, because they
So
don't talk about it, because they have been they've been portrayed as, oh, how can you be the one who's been tortured, or you are the one who's been a sufferer. They can never take
yes,
themselves as a sufferer, and it's still a taboo in our country, to even talk about it, that okay, I am going through a problem. They would not come up
absolutely.
and say that. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And which is, this is another reason why it is so important for each one of us, be it a girl or a boy, be it a woman or a man, to really know how to manage your money. Yes, people, you have people who are managing your money in your best interest. But, the reality is, what are they going to be around always?
Mm.
What, life is so uncertain. For whatever reason, they may not be with you in a certain moment, or some unfortunate thing may happen where you are you are needed to take those decisions. You were talking about the 50 or 60-year-old who talk about they don't know their husband's income. There are scenarios where people lose their spouses and not knowing any of these details, not being aware of any of these details. And it turns out to be that when you're not aware, then again you are susceptible to people taking advantage of that situation.
Of
You are
course.
at the mercy of people telling you
Yes.
whatever they say, and
Yes.
accepting whatever it is, because
Yes.
you are not aware. But
Yes.
why should you not be aware?
Be
Why should you
aware.
put
Yes.
yourself in that position
Yes.
where, yeah,
Yeah, because
it's
all through your life,
and
you
for,
say, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but then
yeah, 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 no, it's absolutely
all
fine.
through your life, you say that I'm earning for my family, for my children, and for my wife. And your wife is the one who doesn't know anything. The world must be knowing it, but your wife is the one who doesn't know anything. So what's the point of that, income? When that income is not going to be beneficial for her, then what's the point? So
What's the
I truly
point?
believe that no, you should, as a partner, you should be knowing about each other. It's not just about
Each
you knowing
other's.
about your husband, or not only, but both of you, both the ends should know about each other, whatever savings or whatever it is you have.
Yes,
Because I
and
think
there should be.
in today's world, we're becoming so materialistic, and everybody wants to be like, this is mine, why should I share? you know that kind of a feeling is too much there, but which in the end is a loss for you, for nobody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And obviously we all see in marriages, one partner outlives the other, whoever it is, whether the wife or the husband. But it is so important for people to be aware. And in
Yes.
cases where, and particularly when it is the wife who's outliving the husband, and if she does not have knowledge of finances and how to manage, let's say, even if the husband left, there was some life insurance, for example, and there was a big chunk which the husband actually left so that the family and the wife would be taken care of. If even when she receives that money, she doesn't know how to handle it,
Totally.
obviously there is an emotional stress that she's going through. Plus, on top of that, she will have to rely on somebody's
Mm.
decision
Yes.
without knowing whether that is right or wrong.
Yes, true.
And if that, god forbid, if that person turns out to be not, like, pretending to be a well-wisher but not taking the right decisions,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's not even people who have bad intentions, because the other person who you are relying on, are they even equipped to take those decisions?
Yes, that is also
Like,
very important. At times, it's
yeah.
very, very important.
So yeah, I mean, all of these factors, when you just look at all of it, it's a baseline. Everyone needs to know how to manage their money. The women, the homemakers, definitely need to know how to manage
Yes.
their money. And
Yes.
that's something that I do definitely focus on.
That is so true. That is so true. So it was really lovely talking to you. So, any last minute tip that you would like to give to our audience? Anything in particular that you would like to say before we wind up this interview?
Most important thing I would like to say to everybody is that the most important, like, as women, we prioritize everything and everybody else. We prioritize, uh, you know, all events that happen, and everything is important, but trust me, there is nothing more important than learning to manage your own money. I mean, your own money, meaning it need not be the money that you earn. In any form, the money that you're getting, you are managing it anyhow as a homemaker, also, even if you're not a working woman. But yeah, it's important to learn to be financially stable, financially fit, because you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for your family, for your loved ones, and there's nothing more important than that. So please realize that and start to learn how you can do it. It's not rocket science, for sure. I know there is a little bit of overwhelm and anxiety attached to it, with a lot, and that's not, if you feel that way, if you start feeling anxious when just thinking about taking these decisions, you're not alone. Trust me, there are so many other people who feel the same way when it comes to money. And that's more about the emotions and the behavioral patterns we've developed in our subconscious mind around money. It's our conditioning. That's another aspect that I help people with, because it has to, the practical skills, of course, you need to learn, but your conditioning that we've all been attuned to in our growing up years, that also needs to change a little bit. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. Please prioritize it for yourself. Whoever you want to work with, your choice, but do it. Do not delay it. That's all I would like to say.
Yes, and before I wind it up, I would like to say that anybody who wants to learn it from Kavita, I'm going to share the details about it, and you can always go and contact her, and you can learn about it as I have learned it, and it's helped me a lot, and I would definitely want that more and more people. I'm mentioning people because I just don't want females only. Even males should go and learn about their finances and turn their life into wealthy living, not rich and pompous. It should be wealthy. So I would really encourage people to go around and learn about your money management also. So thank you so much, Kavita. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you, Manveen. I truly enjoyed this conversation with you. Thanks once again for having me. And I really hope the audience who are listening have got some value out of this and will prioritize their financial fitness listening to
I'm
this
sure.
conversation.
I'm also sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.